Hello everyone, Life Coach Carisa here, coming to you with a new message this week. I'm really excited to talk about this topic today called How Do I Learn to Love Me? One of my clients asked me to talk about this, and she had asked me, how do we love ourselves in a world where looks play such a key role? And I know exactly what she means. I imagine that it would be difficult for me to find individuals that have never felt this at some point in their life, which is so sad when you think about it, that so many of us are spending time feeling like we're not enough. And we're not really ever taught how to love ourselves and to find that peace from within. So I think this is such a beautiful topic, and I'm so appreciative of her bringing it up to me so that I can give you some things to think about and hopefully show you another way to look at all of this. So I want to start with this question. Do you love yourself? How would you answer that question right now in this moment? Would you say that you like this, and this, and I really don't like these things? Or would you say you like it all? You know, wherever you are on that spectrum, it's okay. I am certainly not going to judge you. We are all on a journey. I'm on my own journey just like you all are. And it's not sometimes a straight path to learning how to love yourself. Sometimes there's some squiggly roads to find your place of peace. You know, when I was a kid, I didn't even really know what loving myself meant. You know, I think whether or not I was liked by others and what they thought of me was where I took my cues from. And I can remember spending a large portion of my life never really feeling pretty enough, smart enough, athletic enough, thin enough. I wasn't that ideal picture that I thought I was supposed to be. And I mean, I imagine it probably started in grade school. I can remember in second grade, I was given the nickname of Miss Piggy because my nose turned up too much for their liking, apparently. And I began to believe what people said about me because I thought, you know, if enough people say it, it must be true, right? No, it's not. So what I want to say to you is we are all worthy. No human is better than anyone else. These are all benchmarks that each of us create in our own mind from our own perspective. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? We each have an opinion on what the ideal is. And it's really just a story that we've created in our brain over time. Now, I think often those that judge other people and express their judgments openly either, you know, just don't know any better, or maybe they weren't shown an example of what is appropriate or inappropriate behavior, or possibly they are not content with themselves. And the defense mechanism that has formed is pointing out, you know, what they see as wrong with other people just so they can maybe feel better. You know, we don't know why people do what they do. Kids, adults, we will never really know because we're not inside their heads with them. We're not seeing it through their eyes, through their experiences, through their beliefs. So when I really spent some time looking at this question closer, I started discovering more about me. And I discovered that loving myself as I am has been an up and down journey. I can remember up until maybe age 16, I always felt inadequate. I never really felt good enough or like the ideal. And I can remember something happening at 16, and I started all of a sudden to like the person I saw in the mirror, or at least maybe parts of it. And I can specifically remember a time where I bought a shirt that showed a little more skin than I had usually done. And it wasn't too much, but it was something I can remember happening in me where I felt good about myself. And I think I walked with my head a little higher, and I didn't feel as fragile about what people thought about me. Coincidentally, that's when I met my husband. So maybe that was a piece of it too, right? There was probably a lot of things going on in my life at the time that caused that shift. But then I can recall when I got married and I put on some weight, I started to feel down again. And then I had kids and I really started judging myself because I was looking at all the baby weight that I had put on. And I stayed that way, until I was in my mid to late 30s. And I proactively did something to lose some of the weight, and I felt good again. And then I felt down again when I had gained a lot of it back, and my acne was spiking up when I hit 40. I mean, wow, what a roller coaster, right? I went in and out of loving myself multiple times. And what I learned by looking at all of this was that I was clearly putting way too much importance on outside appearance. And I never really gave any attention to how I was growing and changing and evolving on the inside to this beautiful person. When I look at the ups and downs I was on, it made me sad at first. That there was so much energy that I was spending in self-defeating thoughts about how I viewed my appearance. It made me realize how important it is to develop these skills as young as we can. And this is different than us trying to convince, maybe our young children that they are perfect the way they are. This is showing them skills of how to cultivate this belief in themselves. I think our brain tries to convince you that this is some huge problem that you can't overcome easily when you don't love yourself, when you don't view yourself in a positive way. And I am here to tell you the answer to it all. Pay attention to what you think of yourself, how you talk to yourself. What thoughts do you have in your head when you look in the mirror? Your brain offers you up a thought that you have repeated a bunch of times, and so it is just familiar to you. I'm not thin enough. I'm not pretty enough. Repeat, repeat, repeat. You have the power to break this cycle, to change it. It is just a habit. Do not give it all the power that you do by thinking it's something so hard that you can't change about yourself. You've believed it for too long. It's crazy because so much of what we view in our world today seems to evolve around beauty and perfection, thinness, prettiness. And I thought about what if all advertising changed tomorrow and it was all focused around inner beauty? All the billboards, the TV commercials, social media, it was all talking about your inner beauty, how kind you are to others, how much you care about others, what kind of spirit and soul you have. Your brain might think that if that change happened, your view of yourself could change. But what I want to tell you is that you can have all of that now. You don't need the world around you to change for you to see yourself differently. You have to ask yourself, out of everything that you could choose to think of yourself, why would you want to pick something negative? That is what you're doing. You have the choice. There is no fact book that we can go to and validate the self-defeating thoughts we have. So you have a choice. Do you want to believe them and repeat them, or do you want to stop that and change them? And I think another way to look at this is it's really important to ask yourself, what do you put importance on? When you look at others out in the world, are you only looking at outer beauty? How pretty, handsome, how thin, how heavy? If you answer no to that, then why in the world would that be how you judge yourself first? Why treat yourself so unkind, less kind than you would treat someone else, even a stranger? The secret to changing this and shifting the momentum is to create the thoughts that you want to think about yourself and then practice them. Repeat them daily. It is simple as that. Now, some ways that I have done this, and they might be helpful to you, and there's probably a lot of different ways, but here's a few. You could put a Post-it note on your bathroom mirror. I have an app on my phone called YAP, Y-A-P-P, and it will pop up one sentence messages at certain times that I choose throughout the day. So it's just like a little reminder that pops up. Sometimes it'll pop up on my watch, which is kind of nice and convenient. I glance at it and it just helps me start to repeat that thought in my head. Put a note in your car, on your desk, on your computer, on your nightstand next to your bed. The more you repeat these new thoughts, you can erase the old, well-worn ones from the past. It is all a habit. Change your habits and find peace in loving and accepting yourself as you are. If you think about it, the worse you think about yourself, the worse you show up. You create that energy that you bring into the world. You create it. No one gives it to you. What if you spent your life loving yourself so that you could be an example of showing others how to love themselves? What if we had more of that? Because we aren't taught this, but we can be an example to show others. We can be an example for our kids, for our friends, for our family, for strangers. Spend your life loving yourself and loving others, and what you will feel in return is more love. It seems like it should be more complicated than this, but it's not. But it's just not a habit for us. Our primitive brain goes to the negative. It goes to those thoughts that have been repeated numerous times. You only have to gain. Beliefs create self-confidence. So if we don't focus on our beliefs, self-confidence is not just going to jump up and grab us. It all starts with your thoughts. So, how can you learn to evolve into loving yourself? Here are a few ideas of where you can start, so jot these down. Write down on paper what you love about yourself, and I want you to write all of it. I want you to fill as many pages as you can. So really spend some time doing this. Coming out of a place of criticalness and just looking at a place of gratitude and appreciation for who and what you are. So write down everything that you love about yourself. It might be hard. It might be a hard assignment for some of you, but challenge yourself. And then write down what you believe are the most important qualities in a person. What are those things that when you look at someone, you value most? And then write down at least 5 thoughts you want to learn to believe about yourself. Let these be anchor thoughts that you practice daily. Some of mine were, you are enough. You have so much to offer. You are beautiful in so many ways. Those were some of my anchor thoughts in the beginning, and I put them in all those places that I told you about previously. And the more I started repeating those, they're in there now. They're not hard for me to go grab. And that's where the change starts to take hold. And I find myself thinking those negative thoughts much less often. I've replaced them. I'm not saying they're gone completely, because I have a primitive brain, I'm human, but they do not run things for me anymore. I recognize it and I have a choice. The next thing I would encourage is to have compassion and grace for yourself when your primitive brain does offer you up an old thought and you start to feel down on yourself. Recognize what is happening and say it to yourself. I am feeling down because that old thought came up that I don't have an ideal body shape because these jeans are too tight. It's okay. Nothing is wrong here, Carisa. It's all right. You're just repeating a thought that you've had so many times in the past. And then go back and read the list that you made of what you value most about other people, the qualities, and see if fitting in those jeans and your body type was on the list. If it's not, then remind yourself that that's not what's most important to you. And then read the list you wrote about what you love about yourself. And lastly, catch yourself when you begin to compare to someone else. Don't live in that place of habit. Write it on paper or say it out loud. It often takes on a different meaning when you hear yourself say it or read it. This is all a mindset shift. You can change it. You just have to be intentional. And if it's not motivating enough to do it for yourself, then I would ask you to do it for everyone else around you. Whether you are an example of how to love and accept yourself, you show others how to live this way. Whether it's your husband, your wife, daughter, son, sister, brother, mother, father, everyone could benefit from learning the skill of loving ourselves better. So much pain and frustration that we cause ourselves could be removed. When we don't even love ourselves, this leads to so many other areas of problems in our life where we wallow in unhappiness. If you want to be unhappy, then at least be honest with yourself and admit what you are doing and own all the results that you're seeing in your life because of it. Because no one was created to be less than. That is a story that your brain has told you, and all you have to do is start to change it. I encourage you to spend some time doing this work. When you do, you will come out the other side with a renewed sense of purpose and empowerment that will fuel you with the energy to go after what you want more of in your life. It really is that simple. It starts with your thoughts. I hope you found this information helpful. I hope that you will do the work on learning how to really love yourself. It doesn't happen overnight. It is from creating the awareness, asking yourself these tough questions, and begin to repeat them so that they replace the old thoughts in your brain with new ones. You can do this. I am an example of being able to do this. And you will feel so much better for doing this work for yourself. I promise you. As always, if you found this content helpful, please like and share. I'm all about wanting to get this information out to more people so that I can help more people. And if anyone ever wants additional support, you can always find out the ways that I offer to do that at my website, lifecoachingwithcarissa.com. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful week, and I really appreciate you coming back and checking out my content. Take care, everyone.